with another video. In this video, we're reacting to My Mom Lies to Me Every Day. I pretend that I don't know. Let's watch.
Everyone has secrets, right? I know I do, and you probably do too. But I doubt there's anyone out there that has as many secrets as my parents. It all started at my 10th birthday
That kind of sucks.
party when two people rocked up and spilled the beans on the first dark secret my parents had been hiding from me. I was having the best day of my life. Finally, my parents had agreed to let me throw the princess party of my dreams, and all the girls from my class were invited. I was going to one of the best all-girl private schools in the country, and every time someone's birthday rolled around, we'd compete to throw the best party. So this year, I knew I'd win because my parents had gone all out and even rented an actual unicorn. Okay,
I kind of doubt that it was an actual unicorn.
obviously it was a horse with a horn, but you get the picture.
Yeah, I knew it was not a unicorn because unicorns don't exist. Usually, whenever someone says they have a unicorn, it's usually just a horse but with a horn.
Plus, my house was an actual mansion, and I knew all the girls would be jealous when they saw it. And yep, I was right. Everyone was impressed. Everyone except Bella. I'd only invited Bella because she was the most popular girl in our class, but when she gave me my gift, I regretted ever inviting her. She handed it over with a smirk, and when I opened it, she said, "Surprise! My mommy didn't believe you actually lived in a mansion because you smell so bad. So she thought maybe you could do with some soap." Bella had just ruined everything. It was so awkward, and what made it worse was that all the girls were laughing at me. All of them except for my BFF, Sarah. I was serious.
Wow. What a horrible classmates. Oh my gosh, dude. Imagine having classmates that only follow the popular girl. If she wasn't popular, what kind of difference could she would have made if she was not known as the popular girl? Usually the puppet people have all the rule, but what if they were not popular? What kind of difference could they make?
Seriously about to cry, but suddenly a car came revving up the driveway, and things were about to get much worse than a bar of soap and Bella the bully. It was the old couple who lived next door to us who worked for my parents. They made such a scene and started screaming at my parents, saying it wasn't okay to have a party without their permission, and why hadn't they been invited? I didn't understand what was going on, but as they shouted at my dad, my mom gathered up all the girls and took them to the gate to wait for their parents. My party was a disaster, but not as much of a disaster as what I was about to find out. After everyone had left and Bella had shouted back at me, "Your party is the worst party I've ever been to in my life, you loser," my parents
That's like your party is the worst party she's been to. Take the L.
sat me down and told me they had something to tell me. Turns out the mansion didn't belong to us. In actual fact, the old couple owned it, and they didn't work for my parents. Nope, my parents worked for them. My mom was a cleaner and my dad was a gardener. I didn't
Okay, now that's not gonna lie, actually kind of stupid. Like, why the heck would someone else be the owner of the house that you bought? Unless if you give them the keys, why the heck would they own a house that you bought? That doesn't make any sense. Usually, whenever you buy a house, that means that you own it since you gave money, and usually money is everything to people.
understand. Why would they lie to me like this? Then they told me that the only reason I went to that rich girl's school was because the old couple paid for it, and that I had better behave or they might stop paying my fees. Honestly, I didn't care anymore. I didn't want to go back to school anyway because Bella would have already told everyone what a poor little peasant.
Why would you want to go back to school anyways? Because school sucks. You know how much homework they give you? Whenever they give you homework to go to home, yeah. When at home, school is non-existent. So back whenever I was in a public school, well, no, it was kind of like a private school. Whenever I got into a private school, I did my homework in the school. Why? Because at home, school is non-existent. We don't talk about school at my house. Like, school is non-existent. We don't talk about it because it doesn't exist at our house. That's why I did my homework at school, so that I wouldn't have to do it at home. Because school is non-existent. That's just it.
I was. That was a huge turning point for me, not just discovering that my parents had lied to me, but that actually they were dirt poor. We were a charity case, and if it weren't for that old couple, would we have to live on the streets? I was so mad at my parents. They were so ashamed and kept apologizing to me, saying they just wanted me to have the life I deserved. But I was a smart kid. I knew there was more to it, and I was going to find out exactly what was going on. Word got out quickly, and Bella made my life hell. One day I got to school and she was standing.
Why does it matter if she's poor? Why would it matter if you're rich or poor? If you're rich, does people respect you more? Yes, because they're gold diggers. They're only your friends or they're only your girlfriend because of your money. Now, if they were your girlfriend since you were poor and you became rich, then that's a true love. I mean, other than that, it doesn't matter if someone has money or not. Like you should be friends with anyone. At least you should be friends with people who are nice, who are generous, and respect those who respect you. Yeah. Sorry. But I mean, like, why would being rich make a difference? Your money don't matter. I mean, yeah, your money can buy things. Your money can't buy trust or respect. I mean, yeah, money can buy respect. If you want to get fake friends, they're technically respect you, but only because you have money and only because you buy them things. If you never bought them anything, nor did you give them any money, they would not be with you. Honestly, they would be like, "Ew, let's forget about that guy." Poor man. That's why the world kind of sucks.
Standing outside with a box that said Money for the Poor, aka Sasha. I couldn't believe it. People were actually dropping money in there. It was humiliating. I immediately went to find my BFF and told her I was feeling suspicious.
The heck? Why is there a little ball? What is that? Your legs? Why the heck is your legs like a snare or something? Like what the heck?
Even she agreed that it didn't make sense that my parents were poor because she'd seen my dad out in a Porsche before, and my mom had all those fancy clothes.
I bet those fancy clothes aren't even theirs. I'm pretty sure the old people are the ones who give them everything to make them look like the real stars.
Suddenly I thought, what if my parents had just been robbing the old couple? But then my BFF said maybe my parents were hiding from someone. Maybe they'd done something bad and were undercover peasants. After that, I started investigating. Anytime my parents were working, I'd snoop around in their
Hold on. Yo, I'm gonna just pause this until this stupid ad's over, so. Alright, sorry about that. Now let's continue. We don't want ads interrupting the video.
After that, I started investigating. Anytime my parents were working, I'd snoop around in their room. My BFF was right. They had so many expensive things. Why were they working as a cleaner and gardener? I decided to just go and ask the old couple. They liked me a lot, and now that I knew it was them that paid for my school fees and bought me all these fancy clothes, surely they'd tell me what my parents were really up to. I saw my mom cleaning their kitchen and felt so stupid. How had I been so blind before? I went to look for the old woman, but I heard her shouting and quickly ran to hide in the hall. And then I heard someone respond. Oh my gosh, she was shouting at my dad. She said, "You're putting their lives in danger. I don't want you living under this roof anymore." Then she stormed off. I ran back to our house before they noticed me. Okay, so my dad had obviously done something bad, but what had he done? I wanted to help him, but that night him and my mom were fighting and I never heard them fight.
Gentlemen, that's how you fight. You use point fingers and you keep moving your mouth up and down. Exactly. Then you just keep on. Yeah, that's how you start a fight. Yeah.
Before. They were like the perfect couple. Our whole life was going downhill and I couldn't bear it. The next morning, I decided I had to speak to my dad, but when I went through the kitchen, he wasn't there. Instead, I found a note that said, "You'll both be better off without me. Sorry, girls." Oh my god, he was gone. I ran to wake up my mom and told her, and she just started screaming. I was too young to know what to do.
That sounds like the most fake scream ever. That don't even sound real. That sounds so fake. I would try to demonstrate what I heard from that, but as far as my voice goes deep, I cannot scream anymore. I used to be able to scream like a girl, but not any offense to me or myself by anyways.
So I went straight to the old couple's house and asked them to come help. This was all their fault. If the old woman hadn't shouted at my dad the day before, maybe he'd still be here. I thought the old couple would be upset. After all, who would do their gardening now? But they were the opposite of upset. The old woman started laughing and said she'd been waiting for this moment for years. I felt disgusted by her. How could she talk about my dad like that? The old couple started comforting my mom, and I wanted them to get off her. Why was my mom even letting them hug her? And then she told me something that sent my whole body into shock. They said now that my dad...
Yeah, that girl separated your father from me, so yeah, they'll ghosted it. Yeah, thumbs up.
Was gone, we could come live in the big house where we belonged. Then my mom just lost it. She pushed them away and said, "When will you stop? I don't want to live with you. You've ruined my life." The old woman tried to reach out for my mom to calm her down, but my mom just screamed, "Mom, will you just leave me alone?" I couldn't believe it. Mom? But my mom had told me my grandparents had passed away years ago. So these people were my grandparents? Over the next few days, my mom cried
If they look like your grandparents, they are your grandparents. They're old enough to be your grandparents.
nonstop, and eventually she agreed for us to move into the big house with her parents. I felt really uncomfortable with how many secrets were coming out. I just wanted to see my dad, but we couldn't get in touch with him at all. It was like he'd disappeared, and the whole time my grandparents kept saying that I should
because of how bad he was at hiding secrets.
try and forget him. He'd abandoned us. I didn't believe them, though. My dad would never have done that. He loved us so much. You'd think I'd be happy now that I finally got to live in the mansion like a real princess, right? But it was horrible. My grandparents told me how my dad had gotten my mom pregnant when she was really young, and they didn't approve of him or his family. So the only way they could be together was if they worked for my grandparents. I was so confused. My dad didn't even have a family. He'd lived in a foster home. Or at least that's what they told me. By this point, I didn't know what to believe anymore. Bella soon found out that I was actually rich and not just some gardener's kid, and suddenly she wanted to be my friend again.
Friend. I called it fake friend. All she there is for your money. The only reason why she wants to be your friend in the first place, because you have money. You have money. So yeah, she fake friend. She's trying to be a fake friend.
Her grandmother was friends with my grandmother, and she knew so much about what was going on, it made me sick. She told everyone at school that my dad had run away, but that it was okay because now I got to live in the mansion again. And she expected me to want to be her friend? Yeah, right. Instead, I left a bar of soap on her desk with a note that said, "Use this to wash your mouth out." Huh, served her right. So there I was, a rich kid like I'd always thought I was, but with no dad.
Hashtag worst insult.
A few years passed, and still we never heard from him. I started to believe my grandmother that he really had abandoned us. But the older I got, the more I felt like there was something else going on too. It bothered me how much my mom was fine with it. Like after a while, she just accepted it and said life goes on. But she couldn't fool me. I heard her crying, and sometimes I heard her wandering around at night. Just like me, she wasn't sleeping well. And I'm not joking, but I started to feel like
sleep. You don't know anything.
Someone was following me. One day, I was walking home from school with
you, since he clearly looks like a black figure, but with red eyes and red mouth. He clearly looks like a demon. No offense. Hopefully, YouTube does not demonetize me for saying that word.
My BFF, and we heard a rustling sound in the bushes. It was winter, so it was.
Y'all don't. Whenever y'all wrestling, don't hide it. I mean, unless you're gonna get in trouble. I think everyone wants to see someone get beat up.
It was already getting dark, and my BFF started to scream.
You just have your mouth wide open and just wide white eyes. Who screams like that?
Screaming. I told her to keep quiet and that I just read in a detective book that the #1 rule if you were being followed was to pretend like you were none the wiser. But she just started running and left me there all alone. Gee.
You're a ghost now. You're pure white.
Some friend she was being. I kept walking home and tried to act as normal.
Are you kidding me? The demon needs to stop following you.
As possible, but I was seriously being followed. Eventually, I couldn't handle it anymore, so I ducked behind a parked car and waited for my stalker to catch up to me. I was going to give him a fright, but when I left,
I have a challenge for
Beast. We're gonna have to pause this again. Oh my god. Okay, let's continue.
Parked car and waited for my stalker to catch up to me. I was going to give him a fright, but when I leapt out and said, "Gotcha!" it ended up being a little old lady and she almost fell over. I felt so bad and ran to help her and apologized, but she said it was okay and that I'd better hurry home because it was too late for a girl like me to be out. She was staring at me in a really creepy way though, and I couldn't get her face out of my head.
I'm pretty sure it's more dangerous for young females to be outside than it is for grand people, as in very old people to be outside, because people want to do the bad stuff with females, which is very, very, very messed up. I mean, it happens.
head. It was kind of weird. Had she been following me? Someone was. I could feel it. I started to think maybe it was my dad, and
Ugh, your dad's a demon? I didn't know that.
I really got my hopes up. Not a day had gone by that me and my mom hadn't thought about him.
He's fading. He's a ghost. He's a ghost who's fading away.
But at the same time, I was angry at him. Well, it wasn't my dad following me. About a week later, I was sitting in the park and the stalker turned up. At first, I didn't realize who it was, but then it came back to me. It was the old lady from the week before. She asked if she could sit next to me, and then she turned to me and said, "I've been looking for you, Sasha." Whoa, this was crazy. How did she know my name? She told me there
He's like, you know, I know your name, man. I know. It's like I'm like a video. I have video game eyes. If I just snap, then I can see your name above your head. I know, crazy, right?
was something of mine she wanted to show me and asked me to follow her, but she said I had to be quick or they might see us together. I had no idea what she was talking about and started to panic, but she had taken hold of my hand, and for such a little old woman, she was seriously strong. Plus, she seemed harmless, even if she had been following me and knew my name. We climbed into a car, and she told the driver to hurry. Suddenly, we were driving through the city so fast.
Why are you wearing the same uniform every day, girl? You've not even changed once in this video. Man.
And I realized I'd done exactly what no kid should ever do, get into a stranger's car. I asked her what she wanted with me, and she said I'd soon find out. But I didn't find out. The car came to a stop, and I opened the door to climb out. But suddenly someone grabbed me and said that the old woman was dangerous and
Wow. Didn't know that she was dangerous.
I needed to go with them quickly. It all happened so fast, I didn't have time to think. Then I noticed my grandfather was in the back of the other car, and I got in beside him. The old woman was standing outside the house shouting, and as I looked back, I swear I saw my dad's face in the window. This was too much. I asked my
Probably a ghost. You don't know. I mean, ghosts can impersonate anyone. You don't know, man.
grandfather what was going on, and he said that the old woman was crazy and had been following me. I asked how he knew this, and he said my bodyguard told him. Huh? I had a bodyguard? This was insane. My grandfather just laughed and said of course I needed a bodyguard, because what if my dad came back and tried to steal me away from them? At that moment, I wished
What is this emote, dude? What the heck, man?
my dad would do that. I then asked my grandfather to tell me where my dad was, and he said he was gone and it was better that way. What I didn't tell him.
So that's literally his name, Dad. This is Dad Not Found. Is that his actual name, Dad? Oh my gosh. I didn't know that someone could be a dad and their name is Dad. Crazy.
Was that I'd just seen his face at the window. I was going to take matters into my own
Probably a ghost again, you know.
hands and go there and find out what was going on once and for all. The next day, I went to school as usual and told my BFF to cover for me. I told her I wouldn't be long, but that if anyone asked, just to tell them I was sick and had gone to the clinic. I snuck out after our first class and tried my best to remember the way to the house I'd seen my dad in. I couldn't believe I might get to see my dad again after all these years. I finally arrived at the house, and it didn't look like anyone was home, but still I knocked. When no one answered, I started to get nervous. I ran around to the other side of the house and started shouting, "Dad!" Suddenly, he appeared at the back door and grabbed me quickly and brought me inside. I couldn't stop hugging him, and he was crying. We stood there hugging for what felt like
You're hugging a ghost, you know.
forever. Then I started shouting at him. All my anger came pouring out, and I asked how he could just leave
God, you turned gigantic. Oh my God.
us like that. He said he hadn't wanted to, but he felt useless and didn't think we deserved to live that way any longer. It felt so good to see him again. He told me he was making a plan so he could come visit soon, but there was some stuff he had to take care of first. Then he told me I'd better get back to school before anyone realized I'd snuck out. I told him I didn't want to leave, but he said I had to. And then I noticed all the photos on the walls. Photos of my dad and another woman and 2 kids. I looked around the house and suddenly felt sick. Did my dad have a secret family? How could he do this to us? No wonder my grandparents didn't approve. He was a cheat. He saw me looking around and he said it wasn't what it looked like, but it was too late. I had to.
Wow. He's hiding. He got 2 families. Oh my God. He just got caught in 4K.
Get out of there. I ran for the door, and then I noticed the old lady coming down the stairs. She looked so happy to see me, but I just ran right out the door. My dad was nothing but a liar. I started running down the street, and that car pulled up again. This time my mom jumped out and told me to get in. I was so happy to see her, but I couldn't stop crying and asked if she knew that dad was cheating on her. Suddenly, the other door opened and my dad climbed in. I told him to get away from us, but both my parents just told me to calm down and that I was old enough to know now. My dad is an undercover agent. Yup. He's a spy. Everything he's done so far is to protect us. My grandparents were really not happy about it because there had been some scary situations over the years. So that's why he'd left us. But he wasn't living with some other family. He was living with his mom, who just happened to be the old woman who stalked me. She had been looking for me because she couldn't bear to see her son so unhappy without being able to see me. She was just trying to help, but it could have been dangerous for us. Oh, and the pics of the other woman and kids were his sister and her kids. Oh my god, I had cousins! Now that I was 15, my parents thought I should know the truth, but they said it would still make things tricky.
This is crazy, man. I'm so confused right now.
Then I thought to myself, how come they weren't crying at seeing each other again? Well, looks like they'd kept another secret too. This whole time they'd been sneaking behind my back seeing each other. Now it all made sense. The noises I'd heard in the night were my mom sneaking out. To be honest, I'm still processing it all. It's a lot for a kid to take in, but it does kind of make me laugh. Can you imagine what Bella would say if she knew my dad was a spy? Now who's a loser? My cool status just
She'd probably like, ew, your dad's a spy. Was he spying on somebody in the bathroom? Oh my god.
went way up. But obviously I won't be telling anyone. Let's just say I'm a pro at keeping secrets now.
No, okay, we're not looking at those today. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure you leave a like and subscribe if you're new. And if you want to see daily notifications posted on this channel, click the bell for any notifications. I love y'all so much. Peace out.